Firewood is burning. Lata is very angry. She's taking the firewood in her hand and she comes running towards the room in which Pushpa is sitting, and she picks up her leg, and on her foot she keeps the firewood and says that you're misbehaving with me. You're not listening to me and you're annoying me. And she keeps the firewood on her feet, and Pushpa screams in pain and she falls on the ground. The plate in which she had brought the food is scattering on the floor, and Pushpa is crying in pain. And Lata comes out with feeling satisfied that she has punished that girl who was misbehaving with her, and comes to her son who is crying, feeds him, and she feels happy that she has punished her for her behavior. After a few hours, she gets up from the room and goes inside the room where Pushpa was lying, and Pushpa is still lying there with pain, her leg having a wound, and she goes inside and grabs the hair of Pushpa, lifts her up, and tells that if you are going to tell anything to your father, you know what I can do to you with the firewood. It will be a very serious wound you will get if you are going to say anything. She said, wash your face and I'll give you food. Eat the food without any complaint and be happy when your father is coming in the night and we come to know that you're complain to him anything, I will see that you are not existing. Then Pushpa gets very scared with lot of pain. She limps, gets up and goes to the backyard, washes her face and make her hair proper. And she comes and sits on the chair, and Lata brings her food and she eats the food silently, and she sits there with tears in her eyes. She thinks of her mother, how affectionate she was, how she used to feed her, how she used to make her sleep, and how she used to understand all her emotions. But her stepmother is very cruel, and she cannot even talk anything before her, and she just sits on the chair and waits for her father to arrive. Her father comes after sunset, and when father comes, she just gets up from the chair with difficulty and goes and hugs her father, and she puts a very happy face to her father. The father is happy that her daughter is happy with his new wife and new brother, and so he pats her and he asks her if she had her lunch, and she says, yes, I had my lunch. The father goes, and then he goes for having his dinner, and he goes to bed with the feeling that his daughter has adjusted towards her stepmother and feeling happy. After he goes next day, when Pushpa is sitting on the chair because her feet is hurting and there is a burn in her feet. She's not able to stand with both feet. That time Lata comes and says that, are you a queen sitting on this chair and you expect me to give you the breakfast and give you? I am not your servant. I am here just as your father's wife and not as your mother. And I'm not here to take care of you. On the other hand, you have to take care of me and my son. You are just a servant in this house. Don't expect anything from us. And all the wealth, all the money that your father has got, all belongs to us, to me and my son. You're just a servant in this house. Pushpa is surprised, shocked, tears rolling from her eyes. She slowly limps to the kitchen and finds that there is very, very little food for her. And she takes that food and gulps 1 or 2 glasses of water. And she comes and sit again on the chair. Then again, Lata comes and says that you are not here to eat and sit. Come on, do clean the vessels and wash the clothes. You are there only for that. And Pushpa silently gets up and goes to the backyard, cleans all the vessels that are lying there, and she washes the clothes, right, boiling water from the well, and she cleans and washes the clothes and dries them up in the backyard and comes and sits. And by the lunchtime, Lata is playing with her son, and she again goes inside the kitchen for making lunch, and she eats the lunch. After eating the lunch, tells Pushpa to again eat whatever is left over and to clean the vessels. Pushpa again finds that only a very little food is left. She eats that food, drinks a lot of water, goes back to the backyard and cleans the vessels and then dries them up and brings them back to the kitchen and keeps everything there. Again in the night, her father comes and she puts a very cheerful face to him, hugs him, and shows as if she is very happy to her father. And her father is feeling very relieved that everything is normal in the house and my daughter is happy. He plays with his son for some time and then has his dinner and goes to bed. Now, every day, Pushpa is made to work at home, and on many days, she doesn't go to school. She's allowed to school very rarely, and she goes maybe 1 or 2 days a week, and other days she does all the work in the house for cleaning the big house and washing the house and taking care of the sheep and everything she does and becomes very tired. And every night she cries thinking of her mother, and she recalls the stories she was telling and the way she used to laugh before sleeping. And years roll, and there is no change the behavior of Lata towards Pushpa. Lata is very affectionate to her own son Ganesh, but hates Pushpa, who is not her daughter, who is her husband's daughter. She was very affectionate towards her in the initial stages, but seeing that Pushpa doesn't respect her, doesn't care for her, and after the birth of her own son, she felt that she is not duty bound to do anything to her husband's daughter. And she, over a period of time, started torturing her husband's daughter. And she was getting all the work done from her husband's daughter. And Ram was not aware of what is happening in the house because he leaves the house in the morning and comes back in the night and finds that his daughter is cheerful. after many years, one day there is a festival in the temple in that village. So Ram asks his wife, son Ganesh, and daughter Pushpa to to be ready to go to the temple the next day to participate in the festival. And he says that will be a very joyful moment for all of them, because this festival happens only once in 12 years. The entire village will celebrate the festival. Then they all go to the temple, which is located in a very large ground. And it is a very beautiful big temple of Lord Shiva. And all of them go there. And there are a lot of shops, eatables, and many dolls and kites all made everywhere. It is decorated with colorful ribbons and tapes, and there is a lot of drums beating, and the people are very happy dancing to the tunes of the music. At the time, the family of Ram comes there, and they are also wearing new clothes, and everybody started dancing there. And when everybody is dancing at the time, Lata goes near Pushpa and says that you don't dance. You are not here to enjoy his life. You are here as a servant to me. So don't dance. But she tells her stepmother, if I don't dance, my father will ask me why I am not dancing. Then what should I tell him? Then Lata takes a stick and just beats Pushpa's leg and injures her leg and tells Pushpa to tell her father that she fell down and injured her leg and therefore she cannot dance. Tears are rolling from her eyes. Pushpa sits down, and then Ram comes and asks that why she's not enjoying the festival and why she's not dancing. Then Pushpa shows the wound on her leg and says that she has fallen down, slipped, and therefore it is very painful. She cannot dance. She has to sit someplace and just watch everybody dancing. Then Ram supports her and makes her to sit under a tree. And from there, Pushpa watches everybody dancing, and Lata is smiling at her cruelly and ensure that she doesn't dance. And after the dance, after the puja, everybody was given a feast, and all of them sat and they all ate. They all came home, and the things were going like this for another year or two. One day, it was afternoon when Lata called Pushpa to clean the vessels. Lata was sitting down and doing some prayer. And when she was chanting the prayer, Pushpa did not hear the sound of Lata. So Lata came very angrily and bade Pushpa to kneel down, lift both her hands, and she put a stick on her hand to stay in that position. And she was sitting in the kneeling position on her knees without food or water. And she was in the center of the hall. And Lata had taken food in her plate, and she was sitting in front of her and was eating. At the time, Suddenly, Ram came in, and Ram was shocked to see his daughter kneeling, standing on her knees, hands lifted, a stick on her hand, and his wife happily eating in front of her, and her son is also eating, and the daughter with tears in her eyes, she is there as if she has been punished. He comes and shouts at Lata, "What is this? Why Pushpa is standing on her knees? And why a stick on her hand?" Pushpa bends her head down. She's silent, and Lata, feeling guilty, gets up, drops the plate she was holding, and her son Ganesh stands up with a lot of fear because he has never seen his father so angry. And Lata says that she had punished her because she did not obey her. Ram, in a very angry mood, lifts that stick from Pushpa's hand and asks her to sit. Pushpa immediately sits down, and he takes the stick from her hand and starts beating Lata. And he starts beating Lata, and Lata screams. And he says, "What is going on in this house? And have you been punishing my daughter like this? I never thought that you will behave with my daughter in such a rude way. And my daughter never showed, never complained, never told me anything. Are you doing the same thing to my daughter?" Then Pushpa gave a big sound, wept loudly, and she came and hugged her father and said, "Father, I am in hell. I have been tortured by this lady all these years. She has been giving punishment. She has been touching my feet with firewood. She has beating me. She has never given me food. And she has made me to work in the house like a servant. And she has told me that I'm here only as a servant and not as your daughter. And I will not get any wealth or any money from you. And I'm here only a servant of you and this stepmother and my stepbrother." And I was so frustrated. I was just looking for an opportunity to run away from this house, but I could not run because you're so affectionate towards me. You're so lovable. And I was always thinking that if I run away, you will feel very sorry. You will feel very, very, you will feel that you are unfortunate that you lost your wife and your daughter. And you will come to know that I was having very tough time with my stepmother, and your relationship with my stepmother will also become worse. And I did not want that your life should again meet a tragedy. So I was bearing all the torture she was giving me, and I was not complaining to you because she had threatened that if I complain, my life will be in danger and she may even burn me with the same fire stick. I was afraid and I was not ready to spoil your life because I found after this marriage and after the birth of the son, you were at least too happy to some extent, and I did not want to disturb your happiness. Then Ram came and hugged her, and he said, "Your happiness is the most important for me in this life, and I don't care about this lady. If she has been cruel to you, I will not bear with her, and I will not hesitate to throw her out of this house if she has misbehaved with you, if she has threatened you, and if she has done all these things to you. And he immediately went and called the panchayat, and he briefed the leaders about the way she has been treating his daughter in a very cruel way, and how his daughter was facing all these problems silently, only for the reason that his married life should not be hampered because of her suffering, her complaint. Therefore, she kept quiet. The panchayat was called immediately. All the people in the village were called, and Lata was called, and the panchayat people inquired from Lata if she was cruel to her stepdaughter, and Lata kept silent. She did not say anything. At the time, Ganesh, who was little grown up, he came and told the panchayat people, yes, my mother is very cruel to my stepsister. He has been feeding me like feast, but I know my stepsister did not even have good and sufficient food. I've seen her eating very little, drinking glasses of water to fill her stomach, and after eating very little food, she has been tortured to clean the vessels, to wash the clothes, take care of the sheep, and she had been asked to clean the entire house, and also she has been asked to take care of me. I've been feeling very sorry for my stepsister, but I also developed a hatred towards my own mother because she was very partial towards my stepsister. I am telling you that she has been very cruel to my sister, and I can tell you what all the things she had done to my stepsister. The panchayat was surprised that a boy is complaining about his own mother, and Ram was surprised that this little boy is telling so much about his own mother. And Ram got so angry, he would have again beaten her up. But the panchayat people restrained her, restrained him from even touching her, and said, you have brought her here. It is now for us to take care of your family's affairs. And once you have brought these things to the street, you are not supposed to deal with it and leave it to us. And Lata was still stubborn, and she was just looking at the floor without telling anything, without any regrets. And she was standing like a stone. And Pushpa was in tears, was standing before the panchayat, and she was feeling very shy and awkward to stand in front of so many people of the village and exposing her stepmother and the wife of his beloved father before everybody. But Lata was not at all feeling anything bad, and she was standing there. Then the panchayat people said, Lata, look, you don't want to say anything about the treatment you are given to your stepdaughter. Then she again kept quiet. They gave her chance 3 times, asking her to say if she wants to say anything, she has any complaints about her stepdaughter. She just kept quiet. She didn't say anything. Then the panchayat decided that they have no other way to give her a punishment, and she will be asked to leave the village and she cannot enter the village. And they are giving only one right and privilege to her, that if she wants, she can take her son with her and move out of the village and go and stay anywhere she wants. Lata was unmoved. She did not have any regrets. She stood, and they asked her whether she wants to move out alone or she wants to take her son with her. She looked at her son, Ganesh, as if she is inviting him to come with her. But Ganesh said, "No, I won't go with her. I don't want to go with her because I know she treated me very well, but I cannot understand why she treated my stepsister so badly. I cannot digest that my own mother, whom I loved so much and who loved me so much, was partial and who was misbehaving with my stepsister and hid everything from my father, who was such a lovely, affectionate, kind hearted person who had forgotten all the grief of the loss of his own wife, and he was taking very good care of us. But my mother doesn't deserve to be pardoned, and I do not want to go with her. I want to stay with my father and my loving stepsister. I want to be with her, and I don't want to go with her. Then the Panchayat decided that Lata should leave the village in 24 hours and she should never come back inside the village, either to see her husband or her son or to meet any of the people in a village. Lata just shook her head as if expressing her anger and disapproval, and she walked towards her house without any respect for the people of the panchayat or the people of the village. She hurriedly walked home and she packed all her clothes and jewelry and everything in a bag. And she again went to her son and requested him to accompany. And she said she will be a good mother to him and she'll never scold him, will never beat him, and she wants him to come. But the boy is very, very adamant. He said, I do not want to come with you. I want to be with my father and my stepsister, who will take care of me very well. And angrily, she picked up her bag and she started walking on the streets of the village. And she left the village and went, and she was just looking for a place to stay. And she went to the other village and she took a small house on the border just outside the other village, and she started living there. She lived a lavish life because she had a lot of jewelry with her, and she was happy that she's not now bothered by her husband or by son or by her stepdaughter, and she was enjoying the life in that village. And the people slowly came to know that she has been sent out of the other village because of her cruelty to her stepdaughters, and the people started talking about her. She was feeling that something wrong she has done to her stepdaughter. So she one day came to the temple, that village, and stood in front of the goddess Kali Mata and said that I do not know why I behaved with my daughter, my stepdaughter, like that. I do not understand, but I am not feeling remorseful. I am not regretting what I did. What I did gave me a lot of happiness. I did everything to protect my son. I did everything so that my son gets all the wealth, all the affection of his father, and he doesn't share the affectionate wealth with his stepsister. And I did everything good for my son, but my son did not understand me at all. I did everything good for my son, that he should take all the wealth of his father, he should take all the affection of his father, and he should not share anything with his stepsister. But nobody understood me. Everybody misunderstood me. Even the villagers and the panchayat misunderstood me. Now, Kali Mata, guide me. What should I do? I am now old. I do not know what should I do. But these villagers have come to know about my story. They are all talking ill about me. Now I'm feeling very sorry that I did something wrong, though I know I have not done anything wrong. But these people are making me to believe that I made something wrong. Now, tell me, what should I do? She was standing before Kali Mata and praying Kali Mata that what should she do? She sat there, closed her eyes, and suddenly she found some vibration in her body, and her eyes started watering, and she just fell flat at the feet of Kalibata, and she was lying there for 1 or 2 hours, and her eyes were watering. When she got up, she found that there is some advice to her in her mind, some message to her in her mind. She just left the temple, came home, and she sat in one room alone without even lighting the lamps. She was in darkness, and she was thinking whether what she did was right, and whether what she did to her stepdaughter was right, and what she did to her own husband was right, and whether she had committed any mistakes. And she was sitting all night just thinking about it. But she was feeling that she has not done anything wrong towards a stepdaughter who was disobeying her. And she wanted to correct her. She wanted to make her to do all the work at home. And she did not want her to go to school and study and become more intelligent. And she becomes more than her own son, and she wanted that she is tortured, so she becomes humble, she becomes obedient, and she felt that she has not done anything wrong. Next day, again, she went to the Kali temple and sat before the Kali. At that time, the Kali Mata appeared in her meditation and laughed and said, do you think that whatever you did in this life to your stepdaughter was right? Your husband was so much hesitating to marry you because he thought that you will torture his daughter as a stepmother, and therefore he had a lot of hesitation. But his parents convinced him, saying that you are such a nice girl, you're an obedient girl, and he will take care of his daughter very well. Yes, in the initial years, you took care of her, but seeing her adamant behavior, and once your own son was born, you became cruel, and you wanted to show all the cruelty to that innocent girl. You could have easily corrected her. You should have easily taught her how she should behave, just showering more love and affection, but you took the other way of torturing her by your cruelty. You would have made a mistake in this life, that instead of showering love and affection and overpowering her with your love, you took the stick of cruelty in your hand that made a deep scar in her mind. And she will never forget what you have done to her. in this life. Therefore, you have to seek apology from her. You have to seek pardon from her, explaining why you behaved like that in that life. Then only she will understand you. You have done something irreparable. You have tortured her that has caused a deep scar in her mind. And your own son is not forgiving you, even though you tortured his step sister. He is feeling that my mother is cruel, and he's feeling that my mother may treat even my wife in the same way. Therefore, I don't want my mother to be with me. I am happy with my father and stepsister. That was the feeling he had with you, and therefore he did not come back, come with you to this village. Lata was in tears, and she at last understood what mistakes she has committed. Then she inquired from the villagers about Pushpa, her husband, and her son. She got the news that they all left the village long back. They have moved to the cities, and Pushpa is now happily married, and she's having a wonderful life with her husband, and she has got children. Her son is also married, and he has also got children, and he's employed in a very respectful place, and he's enjoying the life. And her husband is now quite old. He just retired from all his business, and he's just spending his life counting his days, and most of the time sitting in temples, and he's regretting that he buried you, and he's regretting that he created torture to his daughter by burying you, and he is having a lot of anger in his mind against you. And Lata was feeling very sorry, and for the first time, she broke down and cried in front of Kali Mata. And she said, Kali Mata, give me good mind, give me peace. I am restless. I have left my family, left my own son, my own husband, my own village, and I am alone. I've been made to stay alone, and I've been punished in this life, and give me something better in the next life. And she was every day coming and standing before Kalibata, and she was crying, and she was seeking apology, and she was seeking apology from her daughter, her son, her husband, and she was even seeking apology from her husband's wife, and she was seeking help that they all should come and help to patch up the family. But that never happened. She was sitting in the Kali Mata temple, and when she was around 70 years old, she was just walking back from the temple. She was very weak. She was not able to walk steadily. And when she was walking halfway to her house, she suddenly collapsed and fell on the street. The people walking on the street came running to her, and they all tried to pick her up, but she was so weak, she could not get up, and she was lying there. And in the moment of death, she remembered her stepdaughter. She remembered her stepdaughter and said, let us take another life in which we will square our karma. I know I did everything as per my karma, and we have to take another birth. We have to square our karma. I want my husband to be back with me. And whatever I have done, let me experience in another life. Let me undergo the tortures, what I gave to my daughter and my husband, and whatever I did to my husband and daughter, let me face in another life. And thinking about Kali Mata in her mind, she breathed her last, and her soul left the body immediately, and she went up, and she was feeling a lot of relief. Her mind was at peace. There was no heaviness in her body. All the weakness in her body has gone, and she's feeling very light, and she's laughing, clapping her hands, but there are no hands. It is just like smoke. She's feeling that she's clapping her hand, but she has no hand, and she's laughing, but she has no mouth, and she can feel the emotions of laughter spreading from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet, and lot of energy surrounding her. And she stands before Kali Mata, who smiles at her and says that you have finished one life in the earth. They have come back here. Now, are you at peace? Then the soul of Lata says, yes, Mata, I am at peace. I am feeling very light. I have no vengeance. I have no bad feelings. I have no love. I have no emotions. I am completely thoughtless. I am completely emotionless. And I can only feel that you're standing before me, smiling, and I can feel your grace coming on me, and your grace purifying me entirely. And I'm a new person today, a soul without any attachment, a soul without any regrets, a soul without happiness or sorrow. And I'm standing at your foot, waiting for your command to take the next birth and meet my husband and daughter in the next birth and reverse whatever bad things I did to them in the next birth. So give me an opportunity to go back and reverse everything, bad things I did to them as per my karma. Then she came and took birth in this world.